Well, hey everybody, Dana here with Lean Healthy Ageless, and I'm taking a little departure from my normal because today you can see there's a guy with us. There's a guy, Mike Donehey. He is a Christian music artist with 10th Avenue North. He is an author of a book I'm so excited about. I can't contain myself. I've probably given away 5 or 6 of them, Mike.
Amazing.
He wrote the book, here it is, Finding God's Life for My Will. Yeah, you read that right. He didn't get it mixed up. Finding God's Life for My Will. And Mike, you know, I know you've toured for years all over with 10th Avenue North. You've got a huge media following, but what I love about reading the book and listening to the audiobook, I've done both, you're so stinking real and honest and vulnerable. And I didn't, when I picked this up, we have the same editor, by the way, Susan at Waterbrook. And that's how I
She's
found out. He's awesome. So why did you write it? Because I'm going to tell you in a little bit why I love it so much.
Yeah. Well, I started writing it just as a practice of not wanting to stagnate, you know? I mean, you talk about ageless, you know, I think about we age where we stop trying to grow.
Yeah.
You know, it's like growing old is inevitable, growing up is a choice, right? And I think we stay young by like keep trying new things. And so for me, I'd always wanted to write a book, and I had about, you know, maybe 10 or 11 people on my Instagram saying, you should write a book. I really enjoy your little posts and sort of what you have to say about culture and whatnot. You should write a whole book. And I said, I don't have time to write a book. You know, that's what we do when we get sort of, we feel it. We like, I think if you're going to be a writer, it starts with this burning sensation inside that you have to. And I kind of had that feeling like, I really should do this. But then I went, I don't have any time. I don't have any time to write a book. And then I took a cross-country flight the next day for 4 or 5 hours. And I was just staring at the seat in front of me, you know? And I went, or I could just write on airplanes. So for the next year, the only time I worked on the book was anytime I sat in a seat on a plane.
I love it.
Yeah. And I think the premise of the book, I started as a response to when you're in a, like, what some people see as a successful music career. This might not be the same in all careers, but so many young people would come to me and say, when did you know this was God's will for your life? Yeah. And I always look back at them and I was like, I don't. And they'd be like, wait, what? I said, the second I go, this is God's will for my life, I close myself off to hearing from him in case he wants to change it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's one of the things I loved about your book and why it resonates so much. Oh, you know, I've been writing and speaking for years, and is this my calling? Is that my calling? Is that you, God? Is this you? You know, and as you get older, you're kind of like, he gives us a lot of choices. And, you know, I just love that we don't have to worry so much about, am I exactly the right place? Because tell our listeners what the right place is. I mean, it's all about what?
Yeah. It really is about where your heart is. I mean, and we don't want to hear that. We want to hear, no, sell me a secret to make me rich and powerful. And what we're really asking, if we're honest, is sell me a secret to give me my idols.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my head, if I get to this place in my career, I'll be happy. And God's saying, I want to teach you how to be full of joy right now.
Yes. And
so I think a better question than what am I supposed to do with my life would be, how am I supposed to do what I'm doing? Why am I supposed to do what I'm doing? And then suddenly it gets a lot more clear really quickly. Like, so you're studying to be a lawyer. I think a much better question than am I supposed to be a lawyer is, what kind of lawyer should I be? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly that will guide you when you have like some like gray area moral dilemmas along the way. Those things become a lot more clear.
You have a quote in the book. I'm going to read it because I love it so much. It is by, where did I put it here? I actually wrote it out. Oh, it's by Frederick. Is it Buchner? Buchner. And I love this. It says, the place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. There's something so beautiful and organic and unscripted about that, because it can change, like you said. And the reason I got so excited about this book, Mike, I trust Susan, our editor, so much. When she posted on Facebook, I love the title that you twisted it. I said, something kind of cool about that. Got the book from Amazon, and there was a person in my life that was going through a pretty tough time, had a pretty major injury, lost ability to walk, at least temporarily. And I was going to read it, and I popped it in a box I was sending to him. And then I got the audiobook, and I started to listen. I'm thinking, why did I buy this? I mean, I think I know God's will for my life, but you know what? What do I know? Like you said, we are constantly growing up. At 67, this book grew me. This book grew me so many ways. I'm loving it. And so I'm reading, I'm thinking, oh, this would be great for this person I sent the book to. Oh, this would be great for my kids. My kids are between 23 and 42. How's that for a range? This would be great for that one and this ministry leader and that. And I'm reading, this is great for me. 67-year-old woman, mother, grandmother. I loved so many things. Let's talk about one of my favorite chapters, Living the Perpetual Yes. What does that mean? Love it.
Yeah, and you can tell that I was writing the book on a plane, because I start that chapter. I had that idea for the chapter, and I was like, I need to write about this idea today. And I'm flying Southwest, and I've got my perfect little aisle seat in the 4th row. I'm like, this is great. I'm gonna jump right off when we land, and of course it's completely full flight. And then this mother and son, I mean, he's like grown man, but you could tell they're like, they'd never flown Southwest. They were very discombobulated. He's like, I don't know, Mama, I don't know where I'm supposed to sit. And the only seat left in the whole plane was the middle seat next to me, which I'd been like, yes, I'm going to have a middle seat open next to me. So he comes marching, or she comes marching up next to me, and he's got to go all the way to the back row. Anyway, I just felt the perpetual yes. The perpetual yes from God, it usually sounds like the annoying tap on your shoulder that you don't want to listen to.
Yeah.
God's like, just say yes to me. Say yes to me. I'm like, nope, not on your life. I don't want to go to the back row, God. No, they can be a part. It serves them right for not knowing the boarding process on Southwest, And God's like, you're supposed to go sit back there. You're supposed to go sit back there. And so finally I'm like, oh, fine, very begrudging.
I love how you respond to God. Really? Not going to happen.
Oh yeah. And most of us, we stop it there. We're like, no, not going to happen. That's not God. Total coincidence that God might ask me to inconvenience myself. Yeah, right. And this is a good point. If the God you are talking to never disagrees with you, you're probably just talking to yourself.
That's the best quote I've ever heard. Oh my gosh.
Well, you got to think, if your God doesn't disagree with you, you're not really in a relationship with him.
Mm.
Isn't that what defines being in a relationship with each other? If all your friends even always agree with you, then you don't have real friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real relationship is built on the times you disagree and you work through it. And so God's constantly disagreeing with me, and he's like,
so you're
come
on
on.
the back of the plane, huh? He sent you to you went. He asked you and you went.
Yeah. And I get back there and I sit next this lady. I'm still pretty sure she's an angel. She, think about Dolly Parton meets Kathie Lee Gifford. I don't know. That's the best explanation I can give. And she's like, well, hey there, darling, what you doing? Like, da-da-da-da. And she starts telling me stories, and she starts telling me how she went to prison, and how God saved her from the mob. Like her husband got killed by the mob while she was in prison. And like, she tells me this story about walking out, like she was being threatened by another inmate. And then she walks out and like 1,000,000 butterflies land on her. All this crazy stuff. And I mean, I sat there like, I think I say in the book, like a largemouth bass, just my chin just hanging open, and she's telling me all these stories. And she's just rattling off all these stories. She's like, close your mouth, dear. Da, 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 da. And anyway, I was just like infinitely encouraged by her life and by her stories. And like the flight went by in a minute, and I just thought I would have missed that. Mm-hmm. Like my no to the prodding of the Spirit, like would have kept me from meeting her. And
and so you share another story about inviting a young man into a basketball game, thinking he was going to enhance your experience, and it ended up being quite an interesting one. But again, just being open.
Yeah. We're on tour. We're playing basketball, and we're down a man. And we're at the local YMCA, and I see a kid across the gym shooting baskets, and I'm like, "Hey, you want to play?" And he's like, "Yeah." We quickly realized he had special needs of some sort. I don't know what he had going on, but we realized he had a caretaker with him, and we're like, "Oh." And you could just feel, like, if we're honest, right, you feel the air come out of the room, because everyone's going, like, we want to play basketball. We don't want to babysit this kid, you know? And again, it's like, I feel bad. I'm like, guys, it's cool. Like, he'll play on my team. I'm feeling like the martyr here. And we start playing, and we start throwing the ball around, and the second he touches the ball, he just throws up the most ugly looking basketball shot, and it goes up into the air, almost hits the ceiling, and then comes down nothing but net. And it wasn't like we saw him shooting. He was missing everything, and he just like lights up, and he starts screaming and high-fiving everybody, and everyone's, they're like, okay, that was cool. The next time down, exact same thing. We're passing around. He gets the ball, this time outside 3-point, throws up the shot, same thing, shoosh, nothing but net. And like, if he was surprised before, now he's completely elated, and everyone starts chuckling now, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he just made 2 shots in a row. It's crazy. And then the third time down, and I'm not making this up, he was almost at half court, and he throws up this shot. I want to say it goes in between the rafters. Like, it comes down, and it goes nothing but net. So 3 in a row. He starts, like, fist pumping and screaming and, like, knee-highing down the court. People are, like, crying. Like, grown men, we're crying. We can't believe what's happened. And then, the rest of the game went on, and he was terrible. He didn't make another shot after that. But it was almost like this might sound over the top, but it felt like a kiss from God of going, if you would gladly inconvenience yourself, there'd be all this life rushing in. The second you let go of how life has to go.
Exactly.
And that's something I've said. That's how you know who your friends are, right? Is the people. Your friendship is built on the times that you gladly inconvenience yourself for each other.
I love that. Yes. I know my love language is quality time. And so to me, when somebody, and I'm a type A, semi-recovered type A, want to get things done, be efficient, come on, let's go. And it's like you start to learn, oh my gosh, you miss so much when your little agenda is always on the table and got to check off the box. And that's what I love about you, Mike. You're out there in front of people and talking about that, being a public figure, and really why you're doing it, why we do anything. Because whether you're a public figure or whatever we find ourselves in, we want so badly to be recognized. We want to be, and it becomes about us so much. And I feel like as I read your book, it's not stuff I didn't know, but I love how you put it. And I love how honest you are. You're really honest about the struggle you had being on the stage and making it all about Jesus and not about you. And you talk about leadership, and I was in church leadership for a while. And I'd love you to say a few words about leadership, because that chapter I love so much, because it so throws us on our head.
Yeah.
Where in the Bible do you call us to be leaders, Mike?
Yeah, nowhere that I can find, strangely. And I would challenge anyone listening who's got, amassed a chronicle of leadership books on your bookshelf, which you probably have if you're just a normal American, because it's one of the highest ideals that we're handed, And I would say about leadership and about a lot of things, I think I'm emerging as post-cynical. That, you set out to do a career, and then you have success in that career, and you're like, this is what's up, this is what's important. And then you don't get recognized for a while, or you start kind of seeing through the cracks of, oh, that was successful because these people were making money off of it. And because, oh, those people weren't really my friends. They were just, and then you get real cynical. And then, if you're lucky, you can go, oh, actually that disenchantment was the best thing for me. Like it's the essence of what it is to be human that we all experience at some point. A good analogy is like Jacob marries who he thinks to be Rachel, and behold, it was Leah, right? And
Yeah.
that is an important story in scripture, because it's like, this is like, and I say this in the book, it's Tom Brady talking about winning Super Bowls. I didn't include this, but I saw an interview lately of Jim Carrey talking about, I wish everyone could be rich and famous, because they could realize that's not the answer.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about leadership. I go, I've been a leader. Like, becoming a leader is not the answer. And that's why you see Paul in 1 Corinthians 3 and 4. He basically says, don't call us leaders. Mm-hmm. Call us servants. Quit building us into these egomaniacs. And you're like, what? No, that's not why I want to be a leader. I want to be a leader so that I can serve people. I'm like, cool. Then just drop the leader title altogether. Mm-hmm. They're like, no. We'll just change it. Servant leader. I'm a servant leader. I go, you realize you're keeping the word leader on solely because the word servant doesn't appeal to your ego. Yeah. And so to market this to people who don't have a regenerated heart, we have to put the word leader on it, because it's the only way we're going to get them to want to do stuff. And so this, like, when I think about leadership conferences, they'll all say, well, all the great leaders talk about, to be a great leader, you have to be a great servant. I go, do you see how backhanded that is? It's, okay, do you want to be rich and powerful and have more authority than everyone else? Okay, pretend like that's not what you want. And then you can get it.
Yeah.
And I go, no, like I said, these are my idols. How can I mask them so they look like really good and really nice? And then I can serve people. And then when I get all this power and stuff, I'll be like, oh, I'm just here to serve people.
Yeah, I know. It's just, it's so raw and honest. And yet you go, what is my motivation? I remember a pastor years ago saying, at best, as humans on this planet, our motivations are mixed. We can, and we're in this, that's what I feel like your book is talking about all the way through, is like, we're in this tension, in this struggle. Me, or you, God, worship me or surrender it all. And your journey is so fun. You share so many amazing stories from, being this crazy renegade kid that, how many times were you in the principal's office? 42 times, to, and athletic. And then I don't want to be spoiler alert because you got so many good stories. People just have to read it. But it's always about you learning lessons from your life and just being really raw and honest and going, wow, I thought this, but then I learned that. And all the way through, I'm like, yes, yes. My book is marked up like crazy. Yes, yes, yes. And I want to encourage people, Mike. I've given this book to every age from 22 to 60 plus, because it's a fun read. By the way, your audio is amazing because you voiced it yourself. And I think people need both, quite honestly, because I had so much fun listening to you share your stories and be so honest, but then also to read it. I was like, okay, I got to get my hard copy because I've got to go back and underline stuff, because there's very few books. I'm going to say this about your book. There's very few books. I read a lot of books and I get really excited and I get maybe halfway through. I actually was as excited or more excited at the very end of your book, which I was not going to share what you say and don't say, but I was excited at the last chapter as I was at the beginning. And that is a lot to say because there's just a nugget in every chapter that is a little temperature check for me to look at my relationship with Jesus and with people, and the brutal honesty of, you've made some comments already in this time together about being honest. You have a chapter called Embrace the Cracks, being that person that is fully known. It's something I've thought about for years, that to really feel and embrace someone's love, you have to know you're fully known. Because if they only know the version of you want them to see, you don't feel loved, you don't feel appreciated or valued, because they don't know the real you. And what we know is God knows the real us. He knows all the corrupt, all the uck.
Mm-hmm.
But for other people to know it too, I feel like that's a lot what you do in here. Is like, here's the real me. It's kind of funny. I got some great stories, but here's the truth of what was going on in my heart. And this is what I've learned. I'm just going to pass it on in a very humble way, by the way. But I just can't say enough, Mike. You have a wisdom. I'm like, what's this 39-year-old guy got to say to a 67-year-old? Oh, okay, he's got a lot to say to me. And God too. I mean, you let God use all your craziness. And it's so entertaining as well.
Well, I mean, that's quite a plug. Can I just, I'm going to videotape you and have you tell everyone about my book now.
Sure thing. Sure. No, yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I just think I start one of the chapters off with a St. Augustine quote. And he said, God is always trying to give us good things, but our hands are often too full to receive them. Mm-hmm. And I think we all want to get to God. Like we agree, okay, God is the treasure, right? Like that he's, we do lip service to say he is better than anything he can give me, right? The giver is better than the gifts. Like God's presence is better than my career. But then in order to really receive that, we have to let go on the career. It's Smeagol in the Ring, right? Moral process, and I love that analogy. It's like, oh yeah, no, I totally believe God's the best. God's awesome. I love him. He's like so great. Now give me what I want, God. And God's going, I want to be what you want. And
yeah.
I write about it in the book and try to keep it keep the book. As soon as I didn't feel like I had anything to say, I wanted the book to be over. Because I hate books that go on and they keep saying the same thing the whole time. And like this band for me, like my career, and maybe other people don't feel this way, but my career, like I've got my family and my career. And unlike a lot of people who have like a 9-to-5, they never feel the tension that those can be. And because they're home every day. And so they're like, oh, no. my head's not still in work. My head's not still in my career. Like, look, I'm home. But like, you ask their wife or you ask their spouse, and they're like, oh no, their head is always on that career. Mm-hmm. Where for me, it's like so tangible, because to do what I do, I have to actually leave.
Right.
And there's such like a stark, oh my goodness, this costs so much. And so when I write about a couple of years ago, right now we are doing half as many shows as we were doing 3 years ago. We did 145 shows 3 years ago, and this year we're doing 75. And like, it's crazy, because I really believe if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have the space to write the book. I wouldn't have had the space to like, do interviews about the book and to whatever. And so if I had clung to, no, my career over God, my career over my family, it actually would have disintegrated it. Mm-hmm. And some of us, we got given this beautiful gift of a career, and now we will not part with how that looks.
It becomes
yeah. And my buddy, and if you've got an older demographic than where I am, my buddy's a psychologist, and he would call that, you move from a warrior phase to a kingship phase to a sage phase. And at each one of those transitions, we can like really resist that movement. Like, there's people who are like, no, I love being the warrior. I love just, and God's like, hey, I want you to kind of like be the king here for a little bit. Like, kind of like be in a place, like serve, like king might be a bad word, right? But serve these people. And then there comes a point where like, hey, you got to let go of like being the top dog, being the authority, and start to be the sage or the wisdom for the next coming. Like, how many times have I seen a business kind of fall apart because they never trained up someone under them? Exactly. It was just like, no, I'm the guy.
And in your career, you had a meeting of all your bandmates and wives and made a really important decision. It was like really seeking God on this.
Yeah. When it wasn't going to make financial sense, we decided to cut the shows in half.
And how did it go financially, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. Well, we did actually make less money next year, but not nearly as much less money as we thought. Like, we made enough money to like, oh, this is actually totally sustainable at this level.
And you had more of a life.
Yeah. I made less money the next year, but ask my daughters if they care.
And by the way, we haven't told our audience you have 4 daughters, so
yes,
tell them at the beginning. I think I'll do an intro and tell them.
Yes, I have 4 daughters. Pray for me.
Lots of us.
My joke is like, I think I say it in the book, but I don't pray for boys because the Lord gives girls to family that already has a man.
There you go. Da-dum. There you go. Love it. Well, Mike, it has been a delight. Thank you for taking time. You're touring in New Jersey, and I'm just thankful that you would speak to this old girls audience, and because you have a message for every age, and that's, like I said, that's what I want to scream to everybody. I've got a stack of these in my office because they're going to be Christmas gifts. Because it's that good. It's that. And thank you. Just thank you for writing it. Thank you that you had so many plane trips, that you got the book done, and it finishes stronger than, it's just strong all the way through. Something in every chapter. We could go on and on, but I just want to thank you for popping in and being with this ageless crowd.
Oh, awesome.
God bless you.
Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Have a great tour.
Thank you.